Every heir's downfall begins with trust in disguise. Adrian Bellamy met Chloe Lancaster at a Manhattan charity gala, the kind with violins playing over whispered inheritance deals and vintage wine older than most guests. She wasn't on the guest list, at least not officially. But somehow, Chloe always found her way into rooms that weren't meant for her. He noticed her by the champagne tower. Red dress, emerald eyes, and an emerald ring too. Though later, Adrian would learn it wasn't real. Nothing about Chloe was. Not the laughter that echoed when he told her about the Bellamy legacy. Not the curiosity she showed when he mentioned the old estate in Maine. Not even the silence she kept when he offered her a ride home in the family's vintage Bentley. Adrian was the last Bellamy heir, a quiet man raised among antiques and expectations. His father, Charles, ran the company like a dynasty. His mother had left when Adrian was still learning how to read wills aloud at Sunday dinner. He had learned early that money came with rules and trust came with consequences. But Chloe made him forget all that. Within 6 months, she moved into the penthouse. Within a year, she wore a new ring, this one real, plucked from the Bellamy family vault. And when she smiled for the engagement shoot, holding Adrian's hand under soft lighting, the media called them the new face of inherited elegance. Charles Bellamy didn't smile in the photos. He knew something his son didn't. "She's not after you, Adrian. She's after the key." Adrian thought he meant the vault key. But Charles was talking about the will, the one Chloe had never seen but was already rewriting in her mind. That night, Chloe sent a voice message to someone named Lex. "I'm in. One more signature, and everything becomes ours." She deleted it seconds later. But some messages don't really disappear. Some vows are written in ink, others in strategy. Adrian and Chloe's wedding was not just an event, it was a performance. Held in a restored vineyard owned by the Bellamy estate, the ceremony looked like something out of a luxury magazine. Silver cutlery engraved with the family crest, imported roses flown in that morning. A string quartet playing Vivaldi beneath crystal chandeliers hung in a tent so pristine it felt like a dream. But some dreams are too expensive to be real. Among the guests were legacy lawyers, old money allies, and a few distant cousins praying silently that Adrian wouldn't mess up the bloodline. They all watched Chloe, trying to read in her smile what her silence refused to say. Charles, seated in the front row, didn't clap when the vows were exchanged. He simply stared. And when the reception ended, he summoned Adrian to his study the next morning. No congratulations, no champagne, just a beige envelope with a legal stamp. "This is a pre-inheritance prenup," Charles said coldly. "If she's not after your name, she won't mind signing." Adrian hesitated. Chloe had just whispered in his ear that morning, "I love you more than all this." But in his father's gaze, there was history, a kind of grief disguised as protection. He handed Chloe the document that night. She laughed it off. Then she read it. Then for a moment, her face darkened. "Of course," she said. "It's just paper." But her signature came with a delay, and a call to someone named Lex again. "This changes the timeline," she whispered, "but not the plan." Meanwhile, Charles updated the family will. He added a clause: in the event of the heir's death or divorce within 5 years, the spouse receives nothing but condolences. He locked it away. And the key? He mailed it to someone Adrian hadn't seen in years, his Aunt Clarice, just in case, because Charles Bellamy didn't trust Chloe, and soon, neither would Adrian. We don't always recognize betrayal when it's still wearing a wedding ring. It started with the portrait, a grand oil painting of Adrian's grandfather, a titan of industry whose glare could still silence a room, hung in the hallway of the Bellamy estate for over 50 years. It had never moved, never tilted, never even gathered dust, thanks to Clarice's obsessive cleaning rituals. But one night, at exactly 2:17 a.m., it fell. The crash echoed through the halls like thunder, wrapped in omen. Adrian rushed down barefoot, heart racing, only to find the shattered frame and Chloe already there, staring. She didn't flinch. She simply said, "Maybe it was time he came down." Adrian stood in silence. The next day, he noticed the family safe had been moved, just slightly. His grandfather's war medals, always perfectly aligned, were now out of order. He asked Chloe if she'd opened it. She kissed him instead of answering. Later, Clarice cornered Adrian in the garden. "Has she asked about the codicil?" she asked. Adrian frowned. "What codicil?" Clarisse only smiled sadly. Exactly. Chloe's love began to take shape like a puzzle with one piece that didn't quite fit. She planned romantic getaways only when Charles was out of town. She pushed Adrian to sell off family antiques that looked outdated. She avoided his cousins, avoided Clarisse, but never avoided the inheritance conversations. "What would you do with the Bellamy Trust?" she asked one evening, sipping wine. "I don't know," Adrian replied honestly. "I haven't earned it yet." Chloe smiled, like a cat watching a slow mouse. "Maybe not, but you will." What Adrian didn't know was that Chloe had met Lex again, and this time it wasn't for a simple coffee. It was a meeting about documents. Documents Chloe didn't want Adrian to see yet. Because some gold diggers don't need shovels, they just need charm and a slow clock. When marriage becomes a merger, someone has to lose. The phone call came during dinner, one that Chloe forced Adrian to attend at the country club. He wore a new suit, a tie with the family crest, his smile perfect, but his mind was elsewhere. He sensed something shifting. Chloe's voice was calm, too calm. "Darling," she said quietly, "I called Lex. He found a clause in the will. I can secure half the company if you sign the settlement tonight." For a moment, Adrian froze. Food slowed halfway to his lips. Around them, glasses clinked, laughter floated, the chandeliers glowed, but he heard none of it. He looked at Chloe. At the diamond ring she always admired, the one he had bought with his grandfather's design in mind. He realized it symbolized everything he knew, and nothing he wanted. "Half the company?" he asked. "Or divorce?" she replied. So he signed. The next morning, he couldn't recognize his own house. The furniture looked cheaper. The walls felt acoustic. Not rich, they felt hollow. Charles called him in the study. "Did you read it, Adrian?" Adrian said nothing, because he knew the answer. "I expected more from you than a settlement," Charles said softly, "but good luck making friends inside your own glass house." Adrian walked out imagining what a legacy meant. Now a brand, not a memory. Chloe moved into the Miami penthouse. The Bellamy name appeared in paparazzi shots. The tabloids praised the power couple. They never showed Adrian's solitary bathroom, the void behind his curated smile. Money flowed like champagne, but Adrian didn't drink, and while he collected headlines, his sons changed their school. Quietly, they wore different uniforms. No crest, no real estate tours, just children wondering if their father cared. A year later, Adrian discovered the codicil his father hid. If the heir divorces within 5 years, the spouse receives nothing. He wasn't divorcing yet, but Chloe had extracted enough to bankrupt his trust. He realized too late, the pact he signed became his chain. The deeper the silence, the louder the truth becomes. 2 months passed. Chloe stood in front of the private vault inside her new apartment in Miami, her reflection distorted in the metallic door. She looked richer, glossier, but not happier. Inside the vault, heirloom jewelry, stocks, documents, but not the one thing she expected, Adrian's heart. One night, during a gala, someone asked, "What does it feel like to win?" She smiled, clinked her glass, and answered, "I wouldn't know. I only got what I asked for, not what I needed." Adrian, meanwhile, avoided galas altogether. He spent his days rebuilding, not the business, but the connection with his sons. He walked them to school, waited in the car, carried their bags. The staff was gone, the estate was quieter, but his boys began to laugh again. Genuine, soft, surprising. And Chloe? She tried to buy silence with presents, designer toys, spa weekends, a baby blue convertible. But love, she learned, doesn't take bribes. One day, her lawyer called. "There's a second reading of the will. Your presence is optional, but recommended." She hesitated, then went. In the room, mahogany walls, velvet chairs, and the scent of old cigars. Charles's lawyer pressed play on a voice recording. It was Charles. "If you're hearing this, it means my legacy has been split. That's fine. Inheritance often reveals more than it gifts. But remember this, a name built on love lasts longer than one funded by ego." Chloe didn't blink, but something shifted behind her eyes. She left the room quietly, and that night, in her penthouse, she opened the vault again, looked at the reflection, and for the first time saw a stranger staring back. Not all inheritances are kept, some are returned when they hurt too much. Adrian sat alone in his father's old study. The chair still creaked. The desk smelled of cedar and old ink. He placed a box on top of it. Inside, the original house keys, his father's watch, and the will copy Chloe never saw. He whispered, "You were right, Dad. I traded love for glass ceilings." The room answered with silence. but in his chest, something finally unlocked. Later that week, Adrian called the lawyer. "I want to set up a foundation," he said. "In my father's name?" the lawyer asked. "No," Adrian replied. "In my son's." He donated the yacht, sold the remaining stake in the company, transferred the Miami condo, anonymously, to a shelter for women fleeing abusive relationships. Chloe's name vanished from headlines, not in scandal, in silence. She called once. Adrian didn't answer. The boys began inviting him to their school events. One drew him in a family portrait, with smiling eyes this time. The younger one asked, "Dad, what does your job even mean now?" He replied, "It means I'm here to listen." And he was. On a cold Tuesday morning, Adrian drove to the countryside. He stood in front of his grandfather's grave, placed the original wedding band, the one Charles had never removed, on the tombstone. "I understand now," he said quietly. "Not every heir is born. Some are rebuilt. Not every inheritance is money. Some are second chances, if you're willing to pay with your pride." He turned away from the grave, keys left behind, hands empty, but heart full. The mahogany room smelled of polished wood and old regrets. Adrian sat between his sons, their eyes downcast, his own hands clasped tightly, more for strength than formality. Across the room, Chloe wore white, not as purity, but defiance. The lawyer read the will with measured cadence, a voice trained to be neutral, even while slicing hearts open. Charles had left detailed instructions. To Adrian, 40% of the family trust, conditional upon living a life that preserves the family legacy, not just its assets. To the boys, separate educational funds, held in trust until they reached 25. To Chloe, a letter, no properties, no shares, just a handwritten letter, sealed with wax. She opened it slowly. "To the one who entered my son's life with a price tag, I leave nothing that can be auctioned. You married a name, but you never earned the history behind it." Chloe's face didn't move, but her posture changed, rigid, cornered. Adrian didn't look at her. His eyes were on his sons, who were now reading the clauses about their future education, their independence. They looked confused, but free. The cameras outside the estate gate waited for a statement. Adrian walked past them. He had nothing to say, because for once, words would only cheapen the truth. The family name would survive, not because of balance sheets, but because, in that room, Adrian chose not to fight fire with fire. He didn't celebrate, but he did feel something unexpected. Peace. And in that peace, Adrian no longer made headlines. And for the first time, he was grateful for that. He moved into a smaller house outside the city, a place with creaking floors and no staff, just him, the boys on weekends, and a piano he hadn't played in years. He let the Bellamy estate go, the art, the cars, the endless hosting, all sold, quietly. At first, people called it a scandal. Then they stopped calling at all. But Adrian found silence less cruel than applause without meaning. He started waking up early, not for markets or meetings, but to make breakfast. Real breakfast. Burnt toast. Uneven pancakes. Orange juice without ice, just the way his sons liked it. They were still cautious around him. But kids have a way of watching more than they speak. One Sunday, his youngest brought an old photo from the mansion. It showed them dressed for a gala, standing apart. The boy had drawn a line connecting them, pencil on photo paper. "You looked lonely there," the child said. Adrian didn't deny it. He framed the photo anyway. Later, Chloe called once, not to reconcile, just to ask if he'd join her at a charity event. "Appearances," she said. He declined. "My legacy isn't a table to sit at anymore," he told her. "It's the people I still have time to stand beside." She hung up. No insults, no pleading, just silence, one Adrian didn't feel obligated to fill. And for the first time in decades, he knew who he was without the Bellamy crest behind his name. Not a mogul, not a husband, just a father, learning how to inherit something different, forgiveness. Not every inheritance is a treasure. Some are warnings, disguised as wealth. Years had passed. The Bellamy headlines faded. The wealth still existed, but it no longer defined him. Adrian sat by the sea, watching the orange glow of the sunset through the glass of a modest living room. No marble floors, no chandeliers, just quiet. Real quiet. And in that quiet, he felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel for decades. Hope. He pulled out the photo his son had drawn on. The gala shot, the two brothers, the pencil line. He framed it, hung it over the fireplace. Beneath it, he placed his father's watch, the one Charles had never taken off. Time, he thought, wasn't the enemy. It was the currency he had spent without noticing. One night, he received a letter. Not litigation, not PR, just a note from Chloe. "If you ever decide to sit at that table again, let me know." He closed the letter, laid it aside. He made no reply, because some affairs are too clean for closure. On the morning of his youngest graduation, Adrian walked into the auditorium. Not a mogul, but a father wearing a suit for the first time in years. No cameras followed, no flashes, only his son's proud smile and the empty seat beside him. His own choice this time. As the applause welled, Adrian realized his legacy had shifted. It wasn't the empire he inherited. It wasn't the mansion he sold. It was the moments he didn't sell. The love he didn't attach a price tag to. The forgiveness he didn't measure in shares. He didn't fix the past. He didn't recover the marriage. But he reclaimed his family. And in that reclamation, the real fortune began. Not every inheritance is a treasure. Some are warnings disguised as wealth.